staying a little bit longer, but I just needed to talk to someone. So, as you know, I'm new here and I don't know who to trust. So, I trust you and I really need your advice. So, yeah, I don't know. It's really hard. So earlier today, Mrs. Jenkins asked me to clear out the storage room. You know, the one in the back that like nobody ever goes to. Yeah, so I was cleaning up and everything, and then I had this box like high up, and I was cleaning, and then this box, it fell. So I bent over to pick everything up, and I saw some files, like nothing important, but then there was one file that just got my attention, and yeah, maybe I was being a bit nosy or curious, but I saw it, and it's this one, and it said cold case, and yeah, I got curious, so I picked it up. As you can see, so it's a cold case. Elise Summers, and yeah, I just got carried away, so I opened it up and I started looking at everything, and I think I solved it. So it's the case of Elise Summers, and she was a 23-year-old. She worked at a small flower shop. And she was very creative and sweet. She loved flowers, poetry, and she always walked home at the riverside. And that's where she came to her end, like a horrible death. And it was never solved. But as I said, I started looking through this, and I discovered something. So I have these paper says that the victim, so Elise, was discovered at 8:32 p.m. by a jogger on the Riverside Trail. The cause of death was blunt force trauma. And as I said, no weapon, no DNA for identification. And they were waiting for new evidence. So that's it. That's all. But, you know, she was a person and this was horrible. So she tried to say something. So let me show you some pictures of the scene. So I have this. Let me put that back. So this was the place, do you see, where her body was found on the riverside. That's where they found her jacket. She was also just coming from work and it was cold, so she was wearing a jacket. So here you have the narrow riverside path. And these are old pictures, so yeah, it's not much quality, but here is the bushes, and it seems like she has been dragged there. And there is this branch, and it was cracked, and this branch was like at shoulder length. But this isn't a normal crack, like something happened that it snapped. It wasn't because of natural causes, you know what I mean? Let me see. I also put the pictures up in here and you can see it a bit clearer. So, as I said, the trail is very narrow and it is poorly lit. Like there are no street lights. There were barely any people, witnesses there, and there were no houses. It was just water and branches, leaves, silent, nothing. And the place where Elise was found, it was slightly off the path, not directly on it. And as you could see from the branch and the disturbance in the bushes, it was possible that she was dragged there. So she was carried and she was repositioned quickly. So Elise was last seen at the flower shop at her work at, let's see, does it say there? 7:20 p.m. and she was wearing her uniform and carrying a small to show you, but I have to put on these first because it still fits. So I started to go through the evidence and I looked at the jacket, I felt it, went through the pockets, and I did the same with the handbag. And I went to go through to look through it, and then inside of the bag, I will show you. So I open it up. And I went through it. And it has like this small side pocket. And I saw a note like all crushed up on it in the bottom of the side pocket. So I looked at the inventory list, and guess what? That piece of paper wasn't on it. I have it here. Put it in another bag. Here. Can you read it? So it says, if something happens to me, start with him. Him. It was all carried up inside of her bag, and it wasn't on the inventory list, so no one saw it. And I still don't know how they missed that. Like I have it here, but it was never documented. I don't know how. So I have the list with me. So it says that it is with the victim's purse, and it was studied and logged in by Officer Reynolds. The jacket, a wallet, cigarettes, lipstick, a hair clip, bus tickets, if something happens, start with him. So she must have been suspicious. She knew that somebody was after her, and it was a male. So that's a major piece of evidence. Wow, they missed that. So let me see. So there were other things. So there were 2 tire tracks near the trail. And at the time, it didn't match anyone's car. You see, there was also a footprint. No match. And there was also a white handkerchief with the initials JH. But still, they couldn't figure out what the leads were. So, at the time, put these away. At the time, there were 3 suspects, 3 people that they interviewed. The first one was her boyfriend, Mark Holloway. So they interviewed him, right? And they had been together for almost 2 years, but the relationship wasn't that great because they argued mostly about the future. So she wanted space and she was not ready to move in. But yeah, so on paper, the motive is there. But Mark was at dinner that night from 7 till 9 p.m. And there are receipts, CCTV footage of him, and also witnesses that were with him at the dinner and other people that were at the restaurant. So Mark had a solid alibi. So he was ruled out. Then we have Olivia Bennett. Olivia was Elise's best friend since high school. She was interviewed more than once, and both interviews are in this file, but I put them into my own notes. So, in the first interview, Olivia, she spoke quickly and she interrupted herself. She talked about Mark, that they fought, and that Elise was scared of him sometimes. And yeah, he could be scary, and he doesn't like being told no. She said Elise had tried to create distance. So one detail stands out. Last week, Mark showed up unannounced at her work, and Elise was shaken afterwards. There is no follow-up question in the report. So the second interview happened the next day, and Olivia didn't take back what she said. So I don't know if Mark would have heard her, but I wouldn't be surprised if he lost control. Okay. So because of Olivia's statements, Mark was never fully cleared. Our arguments, jealousy, unannounced visits. He had motive. But yeah, there was the CCTV, the raw receipts, and the witnesses' statements. So, the receipts were collected later, and the CCTV also was reviewed days after, enough to clear it. But there is one sentence that Olivia said, and the investigator circled it. It said, if Elise was heard by someone she trusted, it would be him, Mark. No explanation or anything about it. So yeah, it keeps Mark close to the crime, but he wasn't at the scene. Then we have David Hill. One more person. He was a co-worker of Elise, and he was always helpful, always nearby. He cooperated with police. He volunteered for late shifts and walked her home sometimes, but she didn't really like that. So there was something about him. I don't know, not because of what people said, but yeah, I don't know, just a feeling. So I had been reading through this file, reading all the statements and opinions and everything for like hours. But yeah, and I came across the work schedule of David and Elise. I will show you. So I have the schedule of work, and there were multiple co-workers, as you can see. Elise, David, Sophie, Liam, Nina, and the boss like Clara Johnson. Pretty nice schedule. These were cleared. But this was the schedule of the week that Elise disappeared, when her murder took place. And there are multiple shifts that are crossed off with pencil. I just thought that was weird. And also, Mark was crossed off, and all the other co-workers at the night of the murder. So some shifts are empty, some are overwritten, and just with all these pencil stripes, it doesn't make sense. And according to this schedule, David wasn't supposed to be there that night, that evening, but witnesses say that they saw him in the shop. Let me see. So he was there, and he was present. And just as I said before, there was just something that wasn't feeling right, you know. David. So I did some more digging, and I looked up his name. had seen it on the schedule, on the statements, on the inventory logs, everything. So I went back to the storage room and I was just looking for more paperwork. And I found this thin folder, so not this one, but another one that didn't belong there. No pictures, no police records, but just administrative documents. And I found something. It was an old employment verification form, and it had a listed emergency contact, you know. There was a full legal name written on it, Jonathan Hill. So I thought, okay, maybe a father or brother, I don't know. But then I noticed something else. The same address, the same date of birth, but different name. Twins. So there were two of them, of the Hill brothers. So I kept digging and I found this. The birth records of the twin brothers. So one of Jonathan Hill and the other of David Hill. Both born on December 17th in 1969. A couple of minutes between them. But then I noticed something. David Hill died in a car accident 3 years before. David, but that wasn't correct, you know, because David is the co-worker, right? So David Hill is not who he says that he is. I think that he was, that he stole the identification of his brother and pretended to be David, not Jonathan. And then I was like, Jonathan Hill. Jonathan Hill. And I went back to the evidence. You know, can you guess? Where is it? White handkerchief with the initials J.H. Jonathan Hill. Right? Or coincidence, I don't know, but yeah, Jonathan Hill. So I thought this can be maybe that Elise figured out that he was pretending to be somebody else, and that's why she wrote start with him and not start with David or Jonathan, or you know. So yeah. I also found the phone records, and it was in 1999, so it wasn't as it is like right now, but there were phone records that place him, Jonathan, David, whatever his name is, near the trail that she walked around the time that she was murdered. So I'm saying like 1 + 1 it is a cold case, and maybe I just wanted it to be solved, so I've been careful. I still am. But when you line everything up, it must be right. Yeah. So, Elise was trying to pull away from Mark, but also from somebody else. She stopped letting David walk her home. She wrote notes about feeling watched. She hid this warning in her handbag that they didn't even find, but okay. So if David was really Jonathan, then she wasn't dealing with a co-worker, but she was dealing with somebody who had already crossed a line. Why would he do that? Say that his name was David. So if she started to question his identity, or maybe threatened to tell someone, I think he got scared. So I don't think that he planned this in full detail. I think it was improvised, but he knew her routine, like the work schedules. They worked together. He knew how she walked, where she went alongside the riverside, and he knew that it would be quiet there. So I believed that he approached her and she knew him, so she didn't start screaming right away. It wasn't like stranger danger, she knew him. And when she tried to pull away, that's when it got violent and he attacked her. They had a struggle and she fell, and he must have hit her with something. I'm not sure what, but it must have been something. Maybe even with his fist, I don't know, but there was a short drag mark, so she wasn't moved. So he moved her into the bushes, and then he left quickly. So Elise, she knew that something was wrong. She wrote that note quickly, and she didn't write a name because she didn't know which one was real